Hello, everybody. If you've been following me on x.com/Wizardy, you know I've been working on a multiplayer online survival game, kind of like Terraria or Minecraft. Here you can see the chunks loading in and out. All this is multiplayer online. Well, recently, I've been working on the server, specifically overhauling the GUI, or the GUI, the user interface, whatever you want to call it. I wish I could show you the old one, but I scrapped that thing, and here we go. This is the new interface for the server. A lot of this stuff is placeholder, but I'm chipping away at it. I can go ahead and start the server, which takes a minute because it has to generate the world. But I want to give you, in this video, one piece of advice to make your interfaces look a little bit better and make it a little bit easier. So here you can see the server started. I have an expanded console window. I can enter commands, another thing that I've been working on here. List of commands come out. Yeah, console works great, supports colors. I have these different tabs, can go to settings, player, dashboard, and yeah. Well, what I want to show you in this video is notice these boxes, whatever you want to call them, with the blue line on the top. They're like white. They have a blue line on top, and then they have this little subtle dropped shadow over on the bottom right of each box. And, you know, this is just one function that I made. And then I basically, in the draw event, I'm using that function, which draws out all these rectangles with different colors. I'm using that same function for 1, 2, 3, 4, for all 4 of these boxes. Of course, you know, when I switch tabs, that's also using it as well. So instead of having a crap load of code to make 4 boxes, I just made one function and used that over and over again. So it's really not hard to do at all. But for you beginners out there, or those of you who just always like to find new ways of doing things, I'm going to show you how to do that in your game. Okay, make sure I'm recording. I am. So I made a new object, and it's called Object Tutorial, and I just put that in a room. And here we go. So here's an example of the box and what we're going to kind of be making. And here's the function. Here's the code. If you just want to go ahead and copy and paste this and start playing around with it, be my guest. If you're like me, you don't want to sit through these videos, I understand. But if you want to kind of get an explanation of how it works, keep watching. So we have in our create event of our object tutorial this function. So we just do function, content card, and then we have a bunch of arguments. So I'm going to rewrite this. And then, of course, in our draw event, we're just drawing it out with the color of the box, the X and the Y, the width, the height. Then we have a true or false, which is do we want the top border? And then we give it a color, which is red. You know, if we wanted to set that to false, we wouldn't have a border. So let's go ahead. So you can see we don't have a border there. Let's go ahead and rewrite this function. So I'm just going to comment that out. And we're going to say function. Now you can add, if I can type, my goodness. You can add as many arguments as you want. I'm just going to name this content card. So we're just going to kind of get a baseline thing here. So the first thing we're going to do is what color do you want this box to be? You saw we had a white one up. So we're just going to have an argument /color. Then, of course, we want the X and we want the Y. What's the position that we want it at? Then we want how long do we want this to be? So we have the width. Then how high do we want it, or the height of it? Then the rest of the arguments are up to you. I had a true or false for the top border, which would basically give you the option to toggle that on or off if you wanted to. If you just wanted a box with no top border with a color, you could do that. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna say top border equals true. I don't know if you know this about function, but if you give it a value, it won't be required when you are when you're writing out this function. So like I wouldn't have had to put a true or false at the end there because it would have defaulted to whatever I had it to, which was true right here. So, you know, this is just to make it optional, so I don't have to write this out every single time. But we're going to keep going. So we're also going to let people choose the color of that top border, which we're just going to set it to an aqua color. Now that we have our arguments established, which again, you can add more. You could add like true or false for a shadow, color of the shadow, sky's the limit. But first thing we're going to do is draw out that shadow box. So we're going to say draw set color, and we want that to be a gray. Then we're going to set a draw set alpha, and we're going to put that to 0.05. And again, a lot of this I'm just copying down here, which you can do as well. This is just to make it a little bit see-through. Then we're going to say draw rectangle. And this is where it gets fun, because we're going to say our X, whatever the player gave it, or player, developer, rather. Then we're going to do X plus, then we want an offset. We're just going to set it to 2. This could be another argument. Like if you wanted a longer shadow or a bigger one, you could say 5. Actually, let's just set it to 4. That's a good number. So we're going to say X plus 4, comma, / Y plus 4, comma. And now, because we're using this draw rectangle function, we're going to say our x2 and our y2. We're going to say x, or /x rather, /x plus our width plus 4, which is our offset. You know what would be better is if we just did var /offset, or shadow offset, and we set that to 4, and then we replace these with that. Because then we could change it super easy or make it an argument later if we wanted to. Let's do it that way. So this is equal to 4. Okay, comma. And then we're going to say /y plus our height plus our shadow offset, right? And then we do not want this to be outlined, so we're going to say false. And now we're going to reset that draw alpha to 1, which is the default setting. Okay, so this is our shadow box. Next thing we're going to do, again, just going along with this code, is we're going to set our main box, which we're going to do draw set color, and we're just going to do /color. Then we're going to say draw rectangle, and we're going to say /x. We're going to say /y. Now we don't need the offset. And then we're going to say /x plus width. Sorry that the typing is really loud, by the way. I know that's probably annoying. We're going to say height. And then, of course, we do not want it outlined. So already, we got some of this going on. And this is, of course, the main box. Last thing we got to do is do our top box. So this is going to be the top border. And we're going to say draw set color to this argument right here. All right. And then we want to draw rectangle. I guess I just want to make sure that do it the same. Yeah, we do the width. Okay. We do our X, our Y, and then just save some time. I'm copy and pasting that because I can. X plus width, and now we kind of can set our Y, which is going to be /Y. This is how bold do you want that rectangle to be, okay? So this could be 4, like our shadow. This could be 10 if you want it really big. You could make this an argument. It's up to you, but this is going to determine how thick that border is. And then we're going to say false. And that's it. When we run the game, we're going to have our thing going on here. So, of course, in our draw event, I already have this wrote out from our previous example. But let's just do it one more time. We're going to do content, card, color that we want the box to be. Let's set it to yellow. Let's set the X to 50. Let's set the Y to 150. Let's do this 350 pixels wide by, 400 high. And then, yes, we want a top border. And we're going to set that to red. And then we're going to run the game. There we go. It's pretty big. It kind of looks like a sticky note. Let's reel in that height. Let's set that to 350. And let's make this longer. Let's set that to 500, the width. And there we go. So this is really great because now I can have as many boxes as I would like. I could set one to, 10x, 10y, and I could set this to 600 width, 25 height, and I have 2 of these now. And you can see I can just have let's make that a little bigger. I can have as many as I want. I could change the colors to whatever I want. Oops, that is not a color. Yeah, it's a really useful tool, especially when we can set our X and our Y to whatever we want. Because we could have in our create event, for example, content X equals, actually, I'm not going to make all this right now, but to give you an example, let's do content X equals mouse _ X, content Y equals mouse _ Y. So we put these two variables, content X and Y, in mouse X and Y. We go to our step event, we put the same thing. That way it keeps updating those variables every time we move our mouse. Then in our draw event, let's remove U. And in our X and Y, we're going to say content X, content Y. And what that's going to do is stick it to our mouse. So now we're getting into the territory of if you just added a little bit more code, you can make it to where you could click, drag, and drop these boxes wherever you want. So you have little windows up over your game, which is pretty cool. So, of course, there's a little bit more code that would be involved in that, but it's pretty neat. So then, over top of this, anything below this, we can draw text on it, as long as, of course, we kind of sync it up to where the X and the Y is. So let's put it at X 60. Let's put it at Y, 170. And then we could say, hello world. And now we're drawing text over top of it too, which is pretty cool. If you wanted to integrate that with like a drag and drop or keeping it at the mouse position, again, let's just put the content X and Y variables. And I know I'm going fast. I'm just trying to throw ideas at you now. The video is pretty much over. But we could say that plus, 10. The draw text is content X, actually plus 20, plus 30. And now that text will stick on it too. So, I mean, there's so many cool things you could do with this. And then, of course, you could have as many boxes as you want. And you could have some that aren't attached to the mouse. It's totally up to you. I just wanted to give you that trick because I thought it was pretty neat. And I know we can barely see our shadow too, by the way. And that has to do with our room background. So I'm going to just change this so we can really see that shadow a little bit better. Let's just change it to white. Now let's run it. Yeah, you can see the shadow a little bit better on these. And of course, we can make that shadow as thick as we want. We can say 10. And then you can see we have a much thicker shadow. And if you wanted to make it darker, of course, you could just change this to a higher number, draw set alpha, and that's going to make it a lot darker. Pretty cool. I just wanted to share that with you. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on x.com/Wizardy. You can follow along on my project for this multiplayer online game, which, by the way, I think this is kind of cool. It kind of has some depth. He can jump into the back scenery. And anyway, pretty cool. Thanks for watching.